Welcome to Think Tank Thursday. I'm Denise Killian. Thanks so much for being here with us. We want to first remind you that Thursday is the day that we here at True Entertainment want you to sit back, take a few minutes out of your day-to-day craziness and think. Think about things. We want to first start by thanking our sponsors. They make Think Tank Thursday possible every single week. So we want to thank them and appreciate them for what they do. Today, want to take a moment to talk about growth. And I know that seems wild and crazy from True Entertainment. We want to talk about growth, but we do. We want to talk about growth of your people and your growth as a leader. And I couldn't think of anybody else that is better to talk about that than Phil Jackson, our friend from KingPins. He's director of operations for KingPins up in Oregon. And he has the most fascinating story of how he started with KingPins and how he grew into the position that he's in now. So I can't wait for you guys to meet Phil. Phil Jackson, it's so good to see you. Thank you for joining us for Think Tank Thursday.
Hey, thank you for having me. I'm excited.
So I wanted to spend this week talking about the importance of growing your people. Certainly at True Entertainment, we're all about growth for your business and for the individuals working in your business. But you have such a wonderful story that I wanted to share it with people. So Phil, you are director of operations at KingPins up in
That's
Oregon.
correct. Yes.
When did you start at KingPins?
I started in KingPins and we weren't KingPins back then. We were one location, what we would consider a hybrid location. So it was called Sunset Lanes. It was an old Brunswick location that my owners ended up acquiring in 1999, and then I joined them in 2008.
Okay.
So yes, I just had my 15-year anniversary in December.
I love that so much.
Yes.
How old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
You're not supposed to ask that question.
It's just friends, you can tell me.
That's right. I am 39 now. So I started when I was 23, right before my 24th birthday. So it was December, I was 23. This started early December, and then we ended up having a big snowstorm, an ice storm. I can remember this so vividly. And I had only worked one shift before that weather hit. And then we had the holidays, and then I came back and I was like, I wasn't even sure if I had a job. Like, I hadn't really talked to anybody. So I was like, do I still work there? So I don't remember how it all came to fruition, but clearly I had a job. I'm still here. So
So you started at 22, about to be 23. What was your position?
Actually started as a barback. So I had recently graduated from college with a degree in business finance from the University of Michigan. And I had worked in healthcare through high school. My uncle owned a radiology office. And so I had some experience in healthcare. I'd worked for one of our hospital systems. So when I started looking for work, out of college, I got a job with Legacy Health, which is one of the big hospital groups up in the Portland metro area. So I got a job as a financial analyst. And I did that for about a year before I realized, oh my gosh, I can't do this. So I was good at it, don't get me wrong, but very little human interaction. It was kind of, you go to your cubicle, you crunch numbers and spreadsheets and look at financial data and things like that. And I was like, okay, so I knew that wasn't my calling, right, in life. But at the same time, you're talking to a guy that had $30,000 in student loan debt. Who doesn't, right? And so I was like, all right, well, I don't know what I want to do, but I know that I'm not in a position that I can leave this job because it pays me well. I'm just going to get a second job. I'm going to get out there and just find something. So back in the day, it was all about Craigslist, right? And I think the young folk don't know that anymore.
For the younger folks, that was the original sort of internet billboard that you could post things for.
and maybe also get murdered, which is why Craigslist isn't much of a thing anymore.
Absolutely. Yeah. You used to find the ads in newspapers, then the ads became Craigslist before it transitioned to what it is now with Indeed and, all of the job sites and everything. So, anyways, I went on Craigslist one day and I saw this ad for a barback and I was like, ooh, that'd be like working with people. That'd be fun. I had served beer and wine in college at a pizza parlor. And so I was like, I could do that. So I had no idea what I was getting myself into. I walked in, they were setting up for Christmas for the holidays, doing decorations and everything. And I walked into this bar at a bowling alley. I didn't even think much of it. And I got to meet Kirsten, and she was I think, either bar manager or food and beverage manager at the time. And it was just like this instant connection. It was like family. Um, it was amazing. So I filled out the application right then and there. She did a quick like 10-minute interview. And then I got a call back, I don't know how far after that. And I got to meet with Tom Burke, one of our owners, and got the job as a barback. So it was 2 days a week, 6 hours total for the week. And it kind of snowballed from there. I fell in love with it. They came to me and was like, hey, do you want to learn how to serve? Do you want to learn how to bartend? I worked a summer as the cosmic DJ because before all of these, technology, you used to have to queue up the songs like one at a time and switch between DVDs and stuff. And we had these cosmic leaks. So during the summer, they were like, hey, do you want to do this? I was like, sure. Little did I know that was a test. Because they came to me the following November, so 11 months later, and said, hey, we've got this league director position. Would you like to interview for it? It's a salaried management position. And they knew that I wasn't thrilled with my current employer, that it wasn't really fulfilling me. In fact, my current employer, after I'd started at the bowling center, in my review said, Phil, you need to remember that this isn't a bowling alley. And I was like, you're right, it's not. So I'm going to go work at one.
I love that. I love
Yes, I was
that.
like, thanks for reminding me. This is not where I want to be. So anyways, yeah, November, I got to interview for the league director job, and I interviewed and with our two owners, Tom Burke, John Tang, and our general manager at the time, Aaron Whitford. And I dressed up in the tie and dressed to impress. And yeah, I got a call a couple days later from Tom offering me the position, and it was actually a pay cut. But I loved it. Just one of those things, in your heart, you have just your home, right? And I was like, no problem. I've got money saved from working two jobs. I'm doing it. I took it. And then I hung up the phone and I go, what's a league director? I knew what it was, but I was like, okay, you're talking to a guy who's worked in a bowling center for 11 months, never really stepped in one before other than, $2 beer nights during college. And I was like, all right, let's do this. And I just had to immerse myself into the bowling community. And so I started in November and I joined a Wednesday night league, and a lovely couple, Mike and Carla. They were probably 50 years older than me, and just they taught me everything I needed to know about bowling, lane courtesy and reactive balls and all that stuff. And we just had a blast. And then I joined on Tuesday night, and then I joined a league on Monday night, and then I joined a league on Thursday night. All of a sudden, I was bowling 4 days a week. Yeah, I
Wow.
was best way to get to know your guests is to just immerse yourself in it. And so I bowled 4 nights a week and just fell in love with it. I wasn't very good. I was probably a 140 average, but the community in bowling, in family entertainment, in hospitality is just amazing, and I just loved it. So that's kind of how I got my foot in the door.
I love it. So you started there because you were unhappy with the wearing a tie, 9 to 5, chained to a desk.
Yep.
And within a year, you had a salaried management position.
Yes. Yep. 11.
And I mean, next thing you know, it's 15 years later, you're director of operations.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of been a whirlwind when you look back at it. I spent 6 years as the league director, learning from the bowlers, learning from my team members. I had an older gal, Jenny, who used to be a league director and was retired, but still worked part-time as my like telemarketer. And she kind of just taught me everything I knew. I mean, she ingrained it in me, and was just a wonderful woman. And then back then, because we weren't a large center at that time, I was also managing events. So I did manage the birthday parties and corporate events, and I was the second desk person and everything. I just kind of did it all. Did that for 6 years, and I would say after about 2 years, I was like, I want more. I'm hungry. I'm ready for it. So. But I was patient. I did that for 6 years. And then it was about that time that our owners, Tom and John, came to us as a management group and said, we've decided to acquire a second location. And lots of excitement because I knew that meant lots of opportunities. And so I waited patiently and was hopeful that I would get to run a center myself. And I figured I was probably going to the new location. And the way that, things shook out, they ended up taking our current general manager from our Beaverton location and moving him to open the Portland location. And they offered me the position to be general manager at Sunset Lanes. So that's how I got into GM, the general manager role. And, I loved it. And it was kind of feet to the fire because if you've ever opened a second location or another location, it's all consuming. It's intense. It's intense. And it was a bigger location. It was an existing location. So we had already, a 1,500 league bowler, database to manage and all that. So they kind of went off and did their thing. And all of a sudden I was like, okay, I'm managing a center, I guess. So, but I just kind of felt natural, comfortable, with it. It was just a perfect fit. And so they went off and I helped open the new location a little bit, but, mainly my focus was, take care of our baby. We're going to go over here and do this. And so I did everything I could to make them proud. And they went and they opened that location. And the dust kind of settled. That was about a year to get that open. The dust kind of settled. And then it couldn't have been 6 months later that the owners came to me and they said, so we leased the facility. We leased Sunset Lanes. We didn't own the building or the property. And the developers, which they owned the whole shopping complex, came and said, we're going to blow this thing up. We're going to redevelop the area. They said, we'd love for you to be a part of our new community, what they called Cedar Hills Crossing. Do you want to build a new facility? And so we're barely catching our breath from opening location number 2. And then it's like, okay, we're going to build and design a brand new building. And so then that started that process. And that was about another year of getting designed that. And that was kind of where the KingPins brand came from. We created this brand and both locations are named KingPins. And we took us about 9 months. We opened the new facility. We closed Sunset Lanes for a total of 13 days. And then we were open in the new location, rocking and rolling. We took our team from probably 50 to 60 team members to about 120 team members with the new location because it was a full FEC, 5,000 square foot arcade, laser tag, huge bar and restaurant, private lanes, just a totally different animal.
So you got your feet wet as a GM with just a bowling alley, and then 9 months later,
family entertainment.
Let's go.
Yeah, exactly. Hire 60 new team members and manage a business that was twice the revenue. It was pretty, and I don't think we knew we were designing a building that was slightly different. Because we do a lot of research and a lot of homework, and we've had a lot of great mentors in the business. I mean, between what we've learned from Main Event and Dawn with the summit in Colorado and Stars and Strikes in the South. I mean, just big players, right? And so we learned a lot from them, but I don't know if we realized at the time what we were getting ourselves into, that we were going to be that big and that successful. And you just kind of had to keep up pace. You didn't really have a choice but to do that. So it was an exciting time. It was an exhausting time, but it was exciting. So
one of the things that I keep hearing you talk about is this great relationship that you've had with your managers. They knew when you first started, you didn't really want to be at a 9 to 5 desk job, and they saw potential in you and gave you more opportunities. And then you expressed when you were ready for more, and they found more. Like, that communication is really important.
I mean, I could not be more thankful to have two guys in my life like Tom Burke and John Tang. I mean, I'm sure others say this in the industry, but there's not two better people to work for that I could ever imagine in my entire life. And while I was vocal and they taught me how to work hard, and some of that was already ingrained in me, they were willing to listen, and they were willing to give me opportunities and to mentor me along the way. And they're still mentoring me 15 years later. I don't think that ever stops. I think the important part is that now I take those skills that they've given me and, empower others with that. So it's very interesting how my mindset has shifted, and now it's my opportunity to pay back to the next generation. So, but yeah, couldn't ask for two better guys to work for and the opportunities that they've given me. And I just try and make them proud every day, and they're still involved. And so it's wonderful.
So you have your very unique, wonderful story. There are millions of stories like that out there.
Yeah.
Do you find that one of the responsibilities you have as a manager is to sort of pay that forward, what they did for you?
I mean, I think that's my primary responsibility. So I guess I missed a step in my story, and that was I was general manager for 6 years, opened this location, got through COVID. I mean, thank goodness for that. But that was a whirlwind. And then got out of COVID and made it through the craziness that was the year after COVID, which, if anybody in the entertainment business knows, revenue was incredible because everybody wanted to get out and partake and do things, but staffing that was nearly impossible. And you just had a whole new wave of managing people and what people appreciated and recognized in life. I think people's values changed over COVID. The mindsets shifted, and so you had to manage that differently, right? So anyways, made it through all of that. And then Tom came to me one day, and obviously I talked to John as well, but he said, what do you think if we were to bring in a new GM here? And could you write a job description for what a role would look like as maybe a somebody that oversaw both locations? And he goes, could you give it a title? I don't even know what, and so I was like, okay. So I wrote my own job description, and, not that this position is unheard of. They have, regional managers or, director of operations and things like that. But it was fun. We got to build a whole new opportunity, and they said, yep, that looks good. And so we spent the next 9 months prepping a new general manager for my location that I was at, and she's wonderful and still with us. Eventually said, all right, Laura, the new general manager, you're taking over, and I'm now the director of operations. So I spend half my time at our Beaverton location, half my time at our Portland location, and get to kind of focus on growing the business. And so with that, to go back to your original question of kind of where my focus is nowadays, I do feel like moving into that role is now my responsibility is to continue to support and grow people along with the business, which our belief is that if you grow your people and you focus on your people, the business is going to come. The business will be there. I mean, as long as you're doing things right and you're putting the right foot forward, if you've got great people, the rest will kind of work itself out to some extent. And so, I'd say probably 75% of my week is guiding, mentoring, giving feedback, having meetings, connecting with people.
Yeah.
So that's a really fun part of my job because I feel like I get to give back what Tom and John have given to me and others along the way.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. So you have at some point kind of worked in almost every position within the company.
Yeah, I mean, I was a barback and a bartender and a server. I worked at the front desk, league director, general manager. So I really prided myself on knowing every aspect of the business, right? And knowing it from the ground level. And even when we bring in new management or we promote a new manager, they actually go through probably before they even start management training, they go through probably 20 to 25 days of literally working in the positions.
Mhm.
They work as a runner. They work as a bartender. They learn how to make all of our specialty cocktails. They work at the front desk so that if you got to jump up there and help, you jump up there and help. That's our mindset. So it's interesting for people who aren't part of our KingPins, community already or our culture. It's like, oh, I know how to be a runner. Like, just give me management training. We're like, you got to know it. You got to know what it's like to be in their shoes before you know how to lead them best. And so we go through, strenuous training of ground level, and it gives you an opportunity to build that relationship and that trust with all of the team. Because, we really believe you have to know and understand your team and what motivates them to get the best results and for them to, work with you. It just, we that's kind of been a proven method for us. That we really believe in. So yeah, so I really pride myself in knowing every position and being able to operate in every position and trying to stay up to speed on all the updates and what's going on.
Well, and that's, too, when you talk about growing people within your company, like you were grown
Yes.
within Kingpins, is the value and importance of knowing what everybody does, right? And understanding what each position actually is. And I love what you said, that you really can't lead people unless you've been in their shoes.
Absolutely. And they have to be able to trust you, right? If there's no trust, why would they buy into anything that you're asking for? And so you do that by working side by side with them. And, I'm 15 years later, and you're still going to see me out there on a Friday night, bussing tables, touching tables and greeting guests, checking in guests at the front desk. Is it my main, priority? No. And am I looking at it from a slightly different angle because now I'm watching the other team members and coaching and guiding them? Sure. But I'm going to be right out there side by side with you. So, Saturdays are the most important day of the week to me.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So the value of finding people and growing them,
Mhm.
what do you look for?
It's an interesting question, and it has maybe evolved over the last 3 or 4 years through COVID, again, because the mindset has changed, especially for, I don't even know the generations anymore. I can't keep up with all the X's and the Y's and, whatever it is, Gen Zs. But I we're looking for somebody that's humble. We're looking for somebody that has maturity. We're looking for somebody that is passionate and dedicated and wants to grow. I think that's one of the most important things is, are you driving yourself, or am I having to pull you along with me, right? We do a lot of focus on leadership growth within Kingpins and our management team. We go through at least one leadership session a year that is 12 to 16 weeks long that our management team goes through. And there's a lot of great leadership experts out there in the world. We really love John Maxwell. And so we have a Maxwell team lead that guides us. And so we really focus on that, and that kind of 80-20 principle, of they've got to be pushing 80%. We'll pull you the remaining 20. I don't want to do it the other way around. I don't have the energy to pull you 80%. I'm getting too old for that. So for you to push 20% and me to have to pull you 80%. So we're really looking for somebody that wants to grow, that wants to push themselves and drive and strive for more and not settle for average or okay. We're trying to be the best that there is in this industry. And that means that you're looking for every opportunity to grow. So I know that was kind of a long, convoluted answer. I mean, there's a lot of things that we're looking for, but I think if you have drive and passion, that's key. It's important.
Absolutely. And those are things you can't teach, right? I always say, I can teach you how to do a task.
Absolutely.
But I can't teach you to think critically. I can't teach you to have passion.
Yeah, I think they can learn. You can learn how to think more critically, and you can learn how to be a better leader or to be a better manager or those things. But I can't give you the drive. I can't give you the passion, the fire. That comes from within you. I can help keep that flame going, with positive reinforcement and encouragement and mentorship. But again, if I'm pulling you 80% of the way, it's not going to work. It's not going to be successful. So you got to be the one pushing that 80%. And we really strive for that. Now, what that means is it's not for everybody, right? And that's the hard part. And we'll get people in and they don't want to do that. They want to work 9 to 5. They want to punch the clock. They want to be okay with average and those people typically aren't going to last long, not necessarily because we're going to stop investing in them. They're going to feel that it's not the right fit for them, and so it is almost a needle in a haystack sometimes, but that's also why we find growing from within, because people learn that culture from such a young age and such a young that it is that's our best opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. And that sometimes it's great to have an outside eye come in and take a look at something and new perspectives and ask questions like, well, why do we do it this way? And then you go,
you're right. Why do we?
Right? And so that's always good. But my goodness, if I have my druthers, I would rather grow somebody up from within because they do know the culture. They know where and the how and the all of those things.
Yeah, and what that means for us is that we can't just sit back here in the back office and kind of rest on what we're doing. We have to get out there to the trade shows. We have to get out there and visit other centers and locations, obviously that we're not competing against, but and use the resources within our bowling entertainment community. And luckily, everybody in this, I mean, I don't know that I've come across somebody who hasn't been willing to share their story and share their thoughts. And so I've got relationships with people, from Stars and Strikes and the Summit, now Main Event, and Rick down in Texas. And so that you have to continue to evolve and share, because if you're building from within, you're right, you're not getting that outside of these four walls viewpoint. And so we find that to be very important.
So we're coming close to the end of our time. So I'm going to ask you the very important question that we ask all of our Think Tank Thursday folks is, what do you do to grow yourself?
Growth is a everyday challenge, battle, priority for me. I think one thing is education, right? And this is the education that I actually enjoy, right? Not the classes you had to struggle through in college or high school. I mean, this is the finding books, finding authors to read that speak to you and that want to help you grow. So, we read a lot of John Maxwell and Simon Sinek and other people, Beth. We do that, all of that. We watch podcasts, listen to podcasts. I have from my house, I have about a 35-minute drive to our other location. You know what? That's the perfect amount of time for a podcast. You get an episode in on the way there, you get an episode in on the way home, and you learn something with every little bit of that. So reading, podcasts, we invest in leadership growth for our own team, and have every other week meetings where we're going through different workbooks. So there's that. And then there's people, right? There's relationships, there's mentors. Tom Burke and John Tang are my mentors, and I try and be that for the next generation, to work with people and be able to ask those questions. And it's interesting when you make that transition, from Tom as my boss to Tom as now my mentor, how even your one-on-one meetings change. And he told me one day, he goes, I don't want you to come in with your tasks. I don't need to know how you manage this situation with this team member. I trust that you're going to do that. What I want you to come in with is the things that I can help guide you on, the really deep questions, the leadership questions. Bring those to me. And once we made that change, it was just exponential growth.
That's wonderful.
Hmm.
I love that. I love that. Phil, how can people get a hold of you? How can people find out and learn about KingPins and all the great things that you guys have going on there?
Absolutely. Well, so we have 2 locations in the Portland metro area in Oregon. Our website's mykingpins.com. And then if you want to reach out to me, my email address is Phil, PHIL, at mykingpins.com. And don't hesitate to reach out. Again, I have gained so much growth from being able to share with others and have others share with me, that we need to do that. We need to support each other and continue to grow our bowling community, our entertainment community. And so we are each other's best resources. Do not hesitate to reach out and to learn about us and ask questions.
So, Phil, you started bowling because you went to work at a bowling center as a barback. You said that you weren't very good. What was your average starting out, and where are you now?
Well, that is a good question. I was probably in the 130s. I wouldn't say that I was terrible.
Okay, that's my best. Go ahead.
Yes. And then I would say I got up to, I think my top average was maybe a 194, 195 one season. And I have definitely regressed. I do not spend a lot of time bowling, to believe it or not. I bowl league still, but I do it for the entertainment. So I won't share what my current average is, but I do it for the fun. But I do have a 299 and a 298 to my name. So I've never been able to crack that 300. But for a guy who didn't start bowling except for the last 15 years, I'd say I'm pretty happy with that.
That's pretty good. Well done. Congratulations, Phil.
Thank you. Thank you.
And thanks again for being here. We appreciate you.
Hey, thank you for having me. It's always wonderful to speak with you and share with the community.
Well, that was Phil. How fabulous is he? So I love that KingPins focuses a lot on training their managers, training their leaders, and not just for the position, but in management as well. And if you noticed, he talked about how they focus as a management team on growing themselves as leaders and growing other people. So, but the most important thing I think that Phil had to say was that little bit there where his story and how he was clear with his management staff about what he wanted and what his expectations were. And I think that communication is essential for the success of any relationship, but certainly for employers and managers. So if you're not talking to your team, if you don't know what they want and who they want to be, I'm going to tell you to go find out right now. Stop what you're doing and go find out. Again, want to thank our sponsors for making Think Tank Thursday possible each and every week. We appreciate them, and I appreciate you for watching and joining the conversation. If you have an idea for a Think Tank Thursday, or if you'd like to be a guest on Think Tank Thursday, just send us an email at candy, CANDI, @trainertainment.net. We'll see you next week.